Good evening, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, together with the Presidential Communications Office.
We bring you the latest, widest, and most comprehensive news coverage from the People's Television, IBC, Philippine News Agency, Philippine Information Agency, Presidential Broadcast Service, and Radyo Pilipinas. I'm Princess Habiba Saripauda.
And I'm Joe Fernandez from Radyo Pilipinas. Welcome to
Balitang Pambansa.
Tonight's headlines. Concerned government agencies vowed to go after all underground Philippine offshore gaming operators, assuring that POGO shutdown will not affect the economy. The government guarantees readiness for the worst-case scenario following the eruption of Kanlaon volcano. The Marcos administration continues to impose governance and economic reforms to provide more job opportunities in the country and make work abroad just an option. President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. is expected to sign The Asian Development Bank slashes its Philippine inflation forecast to 3.3% this year as reduced tariffs on imported rice help in curbing food price hike. Although the possibility is still there for such ventures to go even more clandestine, the government is willing to take that chance and standing pat on the decision to ban all POGOs before year-end. Thus, by December 15, all establishments of such nature should cease operations as PAGCOR will no longer issue POGO licenses. PTV's Kenneth Paciente has the full details.
Starting December 15, all licenses of POGOs in the country will be cancelled. This was confirmed by the Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corporation or PAGCOR following the directive of President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. during his third State of the Nation address. In a press briefing at Malacanang earlier today, PAGCOR Chairman Alejandro Tenco stated that they won't wait until the end of the year to end the operation of POGOs in the country. Instead, the government will accelerate the crackdown on these operations. Since the President announced the termination of POGO operations, the number of POGOs in the Philippines has quickly dropped from 300 to just 60.
Simula po noong July, na binanggit ko yung 6 na po, sa pagkasalukuyan po, as we speak, sa araw na to, pipito na lang po ang natitira. Sapagkat voluntary na pong, dahan-dahan na pong sumusulat sila and requesting for the cancellation of their respective licenses.
However, government agencies have not ruled out the possibility that guerrilla operations or secret POGO activities may spread.
But meron pa rin pong matitigas ang ulo. And we are looking at around 100 plus. So yun yung mga rogue POGOs na tinatawag namin. Ang mga dating POGO workers yan na nagsama-sama, tapos gumawa ng maliit na POGO hub o POGO operation sa isang bahay. Pwedeng ito ay sa isang apartment, pwedeng sa isang resort. Sa hotel.
The government and law enforcement agencies are strictly monitoring this issue.
Mga abilidad yun di ba? So, gagawa ng paraan. Sa aming estima, madali silang mahanap, madali silang pigilin, at to the President's instructions, we will make it very difficult for them until they say that it is no longer worth operating in the Philippines.
According to the DILG, out of the 350,000 plus visas issued earlier for POGO workers, 23,000 have been deported, while over 6,000 remained in the country. Of these, more than 5,000 have had their visas downgraded to tourist status. Authorities are all set to close down the POGO hub in Island Cove, Kawit, Cavite on the 15th. The government reiterated the termination of POGO operations will have no negative impact on the country's economy. The Department of Labor and Employment is also ready to hold job employment caravans for affected POGO employees. From PTV Manila, Kenneth Paciente, Balitang Pambansa.
The Office of Civil Defense, DSWD, and PHIVOLCS agree the operative phrase and default mindset in the danger zone of Mount Kanlaon is the worst-case scenario. This after the volcano's unexpected blast 2 days ago that sent volcanic ash and debris some 4 kilometers upward and its continued rumblings of late. PTV's Mela Lesmoras has this report.
The government is preparing for the worst-case scenario following the eruption of Kanlaon volcano. In the event the volcano's alert level is raised to level 4 from the current level 3, the number of individuals requiring evacuation will climb from 86,000 to 139,000 proportionally to the danger zone, expanding to 8 up to 10 kilometers.
Based sa recommendation na rin ng PBOX, we are doing already a worst case scenario planning wherein umaabot na yung aming planning na hanggang 10 kilometers. That will require additional evacuation centers, require additional food assistance and the likes, Kasi hindi naman yan after mag-erupt ay babalik na sila kaagad. We still have to assess what happened doon sa mga areas na tatamaan ng worst case scenario or yung very violent eruption.
Nearly 50% or over 39,000 individuals have been evacuated from the 6-kilometer danger zone. Most evacuees are from La Castellana, La Carlota City, and Kanlaon City. Mandatory evacuation is ongoing for the remaining residents.
We have to move away from danger. Kasi pag wala na pong tao dyan sa 6, kahit pa ulit-ulit po yung pumutok, wala pong mamamatay. Yung ashfall naman po, there are solutions for that. Pero yung pyroclastic materials, yung density, yung PDC na tinatawag, yun po yung delikado. Kaya natin kailangan alisin yung mga tao sa 6 kilometer. At kung kailangan 8, 10, ay gagawin po natin yan. Yan po ang goal natin. Dapat zero casualty. Meron pong warning na binibigay ito. We don't want na habang pumuputok ay magre-rescue tayo.
Although there are no indications to raise the alert level, PHIVOX is closely monitoring Kanlaon volcano's activity, which has recorded 31 volcanic earthquakes after its recent unrest. The possibility of lahar is also being monitored in case of rainfall in Negros.
Explosive eruption may be followed by similar short-lived explosive eruptions on short term, which may generate density currents within the 6-kilometer radius area on the summit. Kapag maulan, yung mga volcanic materials natin on the slopes of the volcano may be immobilized as lahars. This is very important, especially na umuulan-ulan ngayon sa Kanlaon.
The DSWD has distributed food packs, hygiene kits, sleeping kits, and other assistance to evacuees. A stockpile of 87,000 family food packs is ready for distribution at a moment's notice in DSWD field offices in Region 6 and 7.
Non-stop ang production pa rin ng ating mga family food packs and non-stop delivery also of these family food packs.
From PTV Manila, Melales Moras with Patrick De Jesus, Balitang Pambansa.
Relief and evacuation efforts in Kanlaon's danger zone and beyond have drawn all hands from government services agencies. Even better, the men and women of the PNP have joined to help lighten the work, even as a wider evacuation is on standby in the event of a stronger volcanic blast. PTV's Rod Laguzad hashes over the details in this report.
Philippine National Police assist in evacuation efforts for residents living at the foot of Mount Kanlaon. According to PNP spokesperson Police Brigadier General Jean Fajardo, 24 barangays are affected by the volcanic activity, 4 of which are directly impacted by the eruption.
Doon po sa mga affected areas, pagka even evacuate na po sila, sir, may iiwan po tayo ng mga pulis po doon to make sure na hindi sila babalik doon sa mga critical areas po para maiwasan po yung anumang insidente na babalik po sila at biglang pumutok po ulit. This time mas malakas, mas mahihirapan po tayo.
Around 400 police officers have been deployed, with additional units on standby if needed. The Department of Interior and Local Government has ordered local government units to immediately evacuate residents living within the 4 to 6 kilometer permanent danger zone. Priority is given to evacuating vulnerable sectors including pregnant women, children, the elderly, and the persons with disabilities. DILG Secretary John Bicrimulya also instructed the immediate distribution of food, non-food items, and personal protective equipment. Critical teams such as search and rescue, evacuation, and medical services are to be on standby for deployment in high-risk areas. The DILG has empowered local chief executives to declare state of calamity, suspend classes, work, and other activities if necessary. Meanwhile, DSWD Secretary Rex Gatchalian assured continued support for those affected by the eruption of Mount Kanlaon. Gatchalian announced this during his visit to Negros Island to assess the situation and the needs of the affected residents. According to Gatchalian, this is in line with the President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s directive to ensure that evacuation evacuated families receive food, clean water, and other necessities. From PTV Manila, Rod Lagusad with Ryan Lesiges, Balitang Pambansa.
Concerned agencies like the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, the Department of Agriculture, the Department of National Defense, and the Department of Tourism are all doing their part to address certain problems the eruption of Kanlaon volcano has caused to many Filipinos. For the part of the DENR, it is already working with the National Aeronautics Services Administration or NASA of the US, the Korean Space Agency, Manila Observatory, and other agencies to determine the type of component the ash fall from Kanlaon is made of and its possible effects to the affected communities. Meanwhile, the DA assured to provide various types of assistance to those in agriculture sector. That's why it is coordinating with the provincial and municipal governments of the affected areas for the delivery of aid. In fact, the Agriculture Department has already distributed the needed medicines for the livestock that have fallen ill due to Kanlaon's activities, while the DND is functioning as the lead agency in government's disaster response related with Kanlaon and has outlined critical directives to enhance government's effort. For its part, the DOT is addressing concerns by tourism stakeholders from the affected areas that have been experiencing heavy ash fall, which has caused tourism activities to cease, especially within the 6-kilometer permanent danger zone.
It is no secret how Filipinos excel or rise above themselves in the competition when working abroad. And their exploits and efforts to bring honor to their names and race is not lost on a grateful government that recognizes and rewards such achievement, like in today's Presidential Award Ceremony for Filipino individuals and organizations overseas, that PTV's Kenneth Paciente dwells on this report.
President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. assured the government does not rest in implementing measures to improve the welfare of overseas Filipino workers. This statement he asserted while leading the 2024 Presidential Award Ceremony for Filipino individuals and organizations overseas. According to the Chief Executive, the government is steadfast in strengthening labor agreements with other countries to ensure the protection of OFWs.
We are strengthening our labor agreements with other countries, conducting aggressive campaigns against illegal recruitment and trafficking, mobilizing the Agarang, Kalinga at Saklolo para sa mga overseas Filipino workers na nangangailangan fund, keeping our government communication lines open to migrant workers through the One Repatriation Command Center, and facilitating the safe repatriation of OFWs who are affected by conflicts or calamities.
While the government remains focused on the welfare of OFWs, the President assured the continued implementation of reforms to create more job opportunities in the country.
Our dream is to one day make overseas work a choice rather than a necessity. We continue to implement reforms in governance and economic development to provide our people with opportunities here at home.
Meanwhile, the President recognized 13 overseas individuals and organizations who have demonstrated excellence and made significant contribution to their respective professions and communities. The President praised them for bringing honor to the country.
We continue to prove time and again that whatever the tides of destiny, wherever they carry us, within or beyond our shores, there is always a compelling story of Filipino grit, passion, sacrifice, resilience, resourcefulness. The Filipinos' competence, our work ethic, and genuine care for other people make us a truly remarkable race.
The President also encouraged Filipinos to draw inspiration from the awardees, emulate their examples, and continue contributing to the overall development of their communities. From PTV Manila, Kenneth Paciente, Balitang Pambansa.
President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. approved the establishment of a one-stop system for reporting violations of children's rights. Based on Executive Order number 79, signed by Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin, the leader of the land approved the establishment of the Mahalin at Kalingain ang Mga Bata or Makabata program, which seeks to address and monitor all issues and concerns of children in need of special protection or CNSPs, as well as the reportage, rescue, and the providing of assistance, rehabilitation, and reintegration. The Department of Social Welfare and Development is tasked to lead the program with the help of the Council for the Welfare of Children, which will serve as the overall coordinating and monitoring body. The Makabata Helpline 1383 will receive and respond to concerns round the clock.
Those chambers of Congress have ratified this proposed 6.352 trillion peso national budget for next year. This, as Presidential Communications Office says, President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. is expected to sign the 2025 budget before Christmas. PTV's Daniel Manalastas has more.
As the Bicameral Conference Committee for the 2025 National Budget finished its work, they agreed to retain the budget of the Office of the Vice President to 733 million pesos for next year.
Lahat naman tayo, meron tayong wish list na gusto nating mapagbigyan. Pero sa huli, mananaig din yung mayorya. Inexplika ko naman sa kanila na meron namang pagkakataon yung Office of the Vice President na tumulong pa rin. Meron silang social services allotment na 600 million na pwede nilang gamitin para dyan. Hindi naman sila nawalan.
Meanwhile, on the another contentious provision such as AKAP, it will still be funded next year. But here's the twist.
Dati ito ay sa House initiative lamang. Pero bilang co-equal body at para naman may transparency, ang Senate ay meron ding pagkakataon na makatulong sa pamamagitan ng AKAP. So yung initial amount na hinihingi ng House na 39 billion, if I'm not mistaken, medyo napababa natin sa about 26 billion or 20 plus billion. So hindi siya katulad nung hinihingi nila, pero napagbigyan natin dahil nga itong AKAP ay mas lalo nating pinaklaro kung para saan ba ito.
Senator Sherwin Gatchalian clarified some issues on AKAP.
Kasi at the end of the day, it's the executive budget to, hindi naman legislative budget to. We can only do so much in terms of referrals, but it's the execution of the executive side will matter.
Meanwhile, House Speaker Martin Romualdez assured an increased budget for soldiers' subsistence allowance.
Napakamagandang balita kaya kagaya ng ginawa natin na linagay natin ng increase of the AFP for our soldiers. Daily subsistence allowance, we increased it from 150 to 350. That is going to be maintained and fully supported para sa ating mga sundalo.
On the other hand, senators expressed different opinions on the budget of PhilHealth. Senator Grace Poe said the agency has reserve funds.
Ang PhilHealth ay hindi nabigyan ng budget sapagkat kailangan nilang gamitin muna yung kanilang reserve funds.
But yun nga lang, yung legality ang baka ma-question kasi nga nasa batas yan.
Diyan nga yung nagiging issue Hindi nila ginagastos yung kanilang pera.
Some senators expressed dismay on what happened to the DOST's budget.
Nalulungkot ako dahil sa DOST budget hindi nabigyan ng additional. Kawawa naman yung PHIVOX, di ba? Sumabog yung Vulcan Kanlaon nung isang araw. Kulang daw sila ng monitoring equipment.
Once the budget process concludes in Congress, it will be up for the President's review and signature. From PTV, Daniel Manalastas, Balitang Pambansa.
The Asian Development Bank, or ADB, has revised its inflation forecast for the country this year. According to Philippine News Agency report, ADB lowered its inflation outlook to 3.3% from an earlier projection of 3.6%. The report attributed the easing inflation to the reduction in rice import tariffs. Meanwhile, the ADB maintained its gross domestic product, or GDP projection for the country at 6.6.2% for 2024 and 2025, respectively.
The World Bank still expects stable economic growth for the country despite the ongoing tension in the Middle East. In its latest Philippine economic update, the World Bank revised its growth forecast to 5.9%, slightly lower than the previous projection of 6%, partly due to the effects of the weather conditions in the third quarter of this year. However, economic growth remains positive and is projected to rise to 6.1% in 2025 and 6% in 2026. The International Financial Institution still views the country as one of the fastest growing economies in the region, citing the country's programs to reduce poverty and create jobs that drive economic growth. This optimistic outlook is further supported by decreasing inflation, studies on fiscal policy reforms, and the government's sustained focus on public investments and social protection programs.
Good news, the Department of Trade and Industry, or DTI, lauded the country for securing second place in the global ranking of the most attractive emerging renewable energy investment markets based on the Bloomberg NEF's 2024 Climate Scope report. According to DTI Secretary Cristina Roque, the recognition highlights the success of their efforts in building a strong renewable energy foundation, which solidifies the country as a top choice for renewable energy investments. The Department of Energy, or DOE, also welcomes the achievement, stating it motivates them to intensify efforts in achieving renewable energy goals, ensuring the country continues to be a global beacon in the energy transition.
Hindi naging madali ang pinagdaanan ng ibang magsasaka para makuha ang lupa na nakalaan para sa kanila. Matatandaan na naging sentro ng kontrobersiya ang sinapit na mga agrarian farm beneficiaries mula sa Barangay Kurilang, President Roas, Probinsya ng Capiz, nang harangin, guluhin at pagbabarilin ng mga armadong tauhan ng Nemesio Tandan Holdings. Pagkakaroon ng malakas na political will at determinasyon ang naging kasangga ng mga opisyal ng GAR para ipatupad ang pag-install sa mga ARV sa nasabing lupa.
Mga kooperatiba, mag-umpisa ini sa walang-wala gid. Pero sang sa time ni BBM, nahatagan kami sang support services. Dalag ko gid nga mga machineries nga naga-balor sang milyon.
Sa kasulukuyan, sa unang 2 taong panunungkulan ni Presidente Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr., nakatanggap ang Montecarba ng 2,640,000 piso na halaga ng makinarya at kagamitang pangsaka.
Hindi tama na ang ating mga magsasaka na pinaghihirapan at nagtatrabaho na taon-taon na wala naman silang lupa. Kaya ang agrarian reform ay naging priority ng administrasyon.
The European Union is providing 10.7 million euros or 655 million pesos to support the Philippines' climate mitigation efforts. The funding is part of the Climate Investor 2 Fund, which focuses on water, waste, and ocean infrastructure in developing countries. According to Philippine News Agency's report, a portion will fund a bioenergy facility in San Miguel Isabela, set to begin construction in late 2025. The project includes a 10-megawatt biomass plant and a 4-megawatt biogas plant, reducing carbon emissions by 40,000 tons annually while generating renewable energy. The initiative tackles agricultural waste and promotes sustainable energy for local communities, aligning with the country's climate goals. EU and Dutch ambassadors emphasize the importance of public-private collaboration to build resilience against climate change.
Next year's midterm polls will debut a new set of voting hardware, which calls for a new nationwide demo by the poll body to educate and enlighten the electorate on the new features and functions of the new automated counting machines and peripherals. The poll body's automated counting machines countrywide roadshow kicked off Monday last week. Philippine Information Agency Zamboanga del Sur's Harvey Bangayan fills us in with the rest.
The Commission on Elections Pagadian City joined the nationwide automated counting machine roadshow in Barangay Santa Maria. This initiative showcases live ACM demonstrations and voter education to make voting faster, easier, and more accessible while emphasizing the importance of voting rights and responsibilities. The nationwide roadshow began on December 2 and will run until the end of January 2025. COMELEC highlighted the enhanced features of the new ACMs, including a 14-inch screen, the capability to scan election receipts, and an automated summary of results. These machines are also equipped with lithium batteries that can last up to 3 days on a full charge. Participants in Barangay Santa Maria expressed gratitude for the demos and voter education sessions.
Salamat mi nga naedukar ang among katawhan sa Barangay Santa Maria, not only ang among mga katawhan dinhi, kapin sa kami mga barangay official para maistorya usab namo ngadto sa mga katawhan kung unsaon siya pagbutar karong 2025.
Barangay Captain Fernando Pasa encouraged residents to study the educational materials provided by COMELEC.
Naman tayo mga handouts ng hatag sa itong kumilik, ato lang basahon para during sa 2025 election, at least kabalo na ta kung unsaon paggamit sa utani nga bag-o nga machine para sa 2025 election.
COMELEC Pagadian City aims to cover all 54 barangays in the area, ensuring informed and engaged voters by January 2025 as part of this nationwide effort. From the Philippine Information Agency, Zamboanga del Sur, Harvey Bangayan for Balitang Pambansa.
The new Ninoy Aquino International Airport Infrastructure Corporation and Manila Electric Company have entered into an agreement. This to ensure all NAIA terminals have a sufficient power supply as they undergo upgrades. According to Meralco, they will install state-of-the-art substations that will provide reliable and augmented power supply to the 4 terminals of NAIA. The power supply upgrade will help prevent power interruptions and provide future-ready infrastructure that meets the highest international standards.
In an effort to strengthen disaster preparedness, 6 barangays in Marinduque have been equipped with response tools to help prevent and mitigate the impact of potential disasters. Or here, Philippine Information Agency Mimaropa's Dennis Nebrejo has the full report.
The Philippine Disaster Resilience Foundation, or PDRF, in partnership with Give to Asia, has provided 6 barangays from 2 towns in the province of Marinduque with response equipment for quick evacuation in the event of an impending disaster. Arnel Capili, Central Director of the PDRF, said the equipment they shared cost about 500,000 pesos, which includes a unit of Blackstone generator, fuel jerry container, Starlink internet connection, extension wire, megaphone, and 2 units of emergency light distributed in each village. The barangay captains from Nangka, Talawan, and Dampulan in the town of Torrijos and the barangays of Libas, Yook, and Tungib Lipata in the town of Buenavista received the equipment that they could use for quick communication in case of need of evacuation, both inside and outside the barangay. Kapili added that before they give such equipment to the beneficiaries, they go through the assessment and then they train the users of the device and then fund it. Meanwhile, the Provincial Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council of Marinduque also joined the event, represented by Chief Juan Fernandez, who represented Marinduque Governor Presbitero Velasco Jr. PDRF's initiative aims to enhance Marinduque's preparedness and response in times of disasters. From the Philippine Information Agency Mimaropa, Dennis Nebrejo for Balitang Pambansa.
And that concludes our rundown of the latest, widest, and most comprehensive news and information from all across the nation. From Radyo Pilipinas, I'm Joe Fernandez.
This is your trusted news source, always ready to inform and serve the Filipino people. Catch Balitang Pambansa again tomorrow at 7 a.m., 12 noon, 6 p.m., and 9:30 p.m. for more updates and developments. From Radyo Pilipinas, I'm Princess Habiba Saripao Dak, and this is Balitang Pambansa.